aspects of life, tire design requires a level of compromise and give and take. Sometimes the method used to improve one area of a tire's performance is detrimental to another. You have to give a little to get a little, but when the means of accomplishing two separate goals conflict, which takes priority? The basic expectations for standard touring or passenger all-season tires include a pleasant ride, responsive handling, long tread life, and traction in the wet and light snow. This seems straightforward, but there are engineering conflicts inherent to these goals. Generally speaking, it's often possible to increase a tire's performance level in two conflicting attributes, but it comes at a literal price, and tire designers are limited by what their budgets will allow. Though no one outside the manufacturer knows exactly what attributes are the highest priority when tires are developed, we are provided a retrospective glimpse by driving on the finished product. Firestone recently introduced the Champion Fuel Fighter, and to better understand this new standard touring all-season tire's strengths and weaknesses, we rounded up the General Ultimax RT43, Goodyear Assurance All-Season, and Kumho Solis TA11 for a full comparison. Let's see what we found out. To start off, I'm driving the Firestone Champion Fuel Fighter, and you can tell they paid a lot of attention to the on-road comfort of this tire. Of this group, it offers the best impact isolation and allows the least amount of noise into the cabin. The trade-off with a smooth and quiet ride is the steering feel, or actually the lack of steering feel. The wheel is nicely weighted, but it's numb and the response is pretty vague, so it actually just feels artificially heavy. Now I'm driving the General Ultimax RT43, and on the road this tire performs at a relatively high level in all areas. The ride's appropriately comfortable for a touring tire, it's reasonably quiet, and the steering's direct and linear. Like we found in previous tests, there's that slight growl over most surfaces, and it doesn't mute the biggest impacts as well as the best in this group, but all in all, it's just a general, agreeable partner for your daily commute. Now I'm driving the Goodyear Assurance All-Season. This tire's got a nice, satisfying steering feel. There's a small dead zone right on center, but once you're past that, it's linear and very responsive. It is a little stiff, a little firm over the bumps, but not to the point that it's objectionable, and it's quiet as it rolls down the road. To round out the test, I'm driving the Kumho Solis TA11, and overall it's positive, and this tire does get the job done, but it just doesn't seem to do most things as well as the other tires in this test. High-speed impacts, for example, are smoothed over nicely, but low-speed bumps have a tendency to upset the tire and you get a lot of undesirable secondary motion. The handling too, it's eager and responsive, but it's overly light and doesn't really offer any feedback, so the result is you just end up feeling disconnected from the road. Though turning the fastest possible dry lap time likely wasn't an engineering target for any of the tires in this group, we can be certain safety was. The ability to react and respond in an emergency situation is one aspect of a tire's safety, and when testing this attribute on our track, all four tires were capable and delivered similar results. A little under 3 feet separated the shortest and longest distances in our 50 to 0 mile/an-hour panic stop, and the spread in lap times was less than half a second. Once the sprinklers were turned on, there was a noticeable separation between the members of this group. The Champion Fuel Fighter delivered a solid wet performance, with satisfactory levels of grip in all areas. The outright limits weren't as high as the comparison-leading General, and once the limit was exceeded, front-end grip dissolved into stable understeer. With the fastest lap time and shortest 50 to 0 stopping distance of this comparison, the Ultimax RT43 once again impressed our testers in the wet. Subjectively, the General felt capable and locked down through the transitions of the slalom, around fast sweeping turns, and under heavy braking. At the other end of the spectrum was the Goodyear Assurance All-Season, which was challenged in all aspects of wet performance. Though it was balanced and never felt edgy, its relatively low limits resulted in lap times over 3 seconds slower than the General, and required an extra 22 feet to come to a stop from 50 miles an hour. Slotting in between the Goodyear and the Firestone, the Kumho Solis TA11 provided acceptable levels of wet grip for the daily commute. They clearly communicated with the driver, so there were no big surprises, and traction proved sufficient, if not exceptional. Despite the unavoidable give and take of tire design, manufacturers can produce finished products that deliver at a satisfying level in many areas. Some may focus in on specific attributes, while others strive towards more balanced performance. Firestone's Champion Fuel Fighter is the most touring-oriented tire of the group, delivering a quiet and comfortable ride, along with respectable wet traction and steering that left our testers wanting. The General Ultimax RT43 delivers a well-balanced package that provides impressive grip in the wet, paired with a pleasant ride and satisfying handling, with just a hint of tread growl and slight harshness over very large impacts. Goodyear's Assurance All Season feels right at home on our dry track and offers a quiet but firm environment on the road, combined with an underwhelming performance in the wet. The Kumho Solus TA11's performance is acceptable in all regards, with no single aspect standing out as exceptionally good or bad. Performance in the ice and snow is one more engineering conflict added to the equation, and we're looking forward to the upcoming winter season so we can test all 4 of these tires to find out how much give each one has to offer during the challenge of wintertime driving. As we compare tires side by side, we find each one has its own personality. It's not as easy as choosing between good and bad. So as you view our test results, it's important to focus in on your priorities and what fits best with how, where, and what you drive.